Hey guys! Welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Liz and this is Let's Get Lizical, where we do everything card making. And today I wanted to do a video about white space and how not to be afraid of it. I know quite a few card makers who have difficulties with these types of cards because they feel like they need to fill up the space with either patterns or lots of images or create an entire scene. And if that's your thing and that's what you enjoy doing, go ahead and do that. But if you'd like to step out of your comfort zone and try something new, this is the video for you. I will be showing you 3 examples today, and I arranged them so that they're from like easiest to hardest in terms of, I guess, difficulty, because like the last one is an almost all white card. So you'll see what I mean when I get there, but if you are one of those busier card makers, then this would probably be the easiest one to transition to if you want to try a more simple card. For this, we're just going to be putting like one element on the card in a centralized area, and it's not going to take up a lot of space. I'm just using like a small-ish image. This image is not huge. I kind of made it bigger by adding the smoke cloud to it, just because you don't want to be too small. You could use a bunch of smaller images within the confines of the shape that you cut, but it would just be a little bit harder to do. I think it's easier just to use the one image, and you can either make it fit into the shape, or like I'm doing today, I'm going to make it break the boundaries of that shape. So I'm going to cut a circle that's a little bit smaller than the image so that it kind of frames the volcano itself, but the smoke cloud will break from that boundary. And this will also help fill up the space of the card a little bit more and will make the image look a little bit bigger. So that is how we're going to do this. So right now I've stamped and colored my images. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut this on my scan and cut, and it's going to cut as one image because I stamped them together. And then I'm just picking a circle again that's a little bit smaller than the image so that it highlights the image, and so that I'm not just slapping an image in the middle of a shape. This kind of just like helps frame it a bit, and making sure that that smoke cloud breaks the boundary of this circle makes the image look bigger, and it makes it look like it takes up more of the card when it actually doesn't. So it's like a good technique to use when, again, you are a busier card maker that likes to fill up space, but you want to try something new and more simplified. And this paper that I'm using right now is textured on one side and it's like flat on the other one. And I decided to use the textured side, but I cut it with the flat side up. So that was what I was just kind of trying to point out here. And you can leave it at that and stamp a sentiment, but I'm going to add a strip of another shade of like a teal. This is more on the blue side. The circle that I cut is more on the green side. And this will help ground the image. It will help fill up a little bit more space, and it gives me space to put my sentiment because I'm going to be stamping and heat embossing that. I was trying to figure out whereabouts I should put it, and then I felt like keeping it on the strip was the best idea, and it fit in there perfectly. So that's what we're going to do with that. And then this card will pretty much be done. That's it. That's all we're doing with this card. I'm just adding a strip, a circle, and an image. I do add a few embellishments, which is okay, but they don't take up space, and they are the clear white confetti bits, so they actually don't even add any more color or anything. It kind of almost like adds a little bit to the smoke cloud. It adds a little bit of sparkle, because you always got to have a little bit of sparkle in your cards. And it does, again, add a little bit of an element that makes you think you're taking up more of space on the card when you're not. So again, it's just another technique on how to pare down your busier cards into something more simple, but like kind of transitioning into it gently. So usually I glue these strips Generally they're about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch wide, and I do it about 1 inch or 1.5 inches up from the base of the card. And then I'm going to prop the circle up on some foam tape, and I was going to prop up the volcano on the foam tape as well, but then that would have added even more dimension, and I just wanted to keep this one fairly flat. So I will add some foam tape to the top of the cloud to help support it, but the rest of the volcano I'm just going to glue down flat. And then once that's done, we'll add our few little embellishments. Again, it's not necessarily, and you can even draw in some embellishments, add some sparkle pen to this or whatever, but like you could definitely leave it as this. I am trimming off the base a bit because it was a little bit uneven, but I decided to use these clear confetti bits. They're from Studio Katya, which is no longer in business, but plenty of people have these out, so I'll just link closest available below. But that's pretty much our first card here, so I think this would be, again, the easiest one for you to try first. This next one is going to leave even more white space. We're going to be using the Altenew Dainty Swiss Dots stamp set just for sentiment, and I am using this Tinseltown die set from Doodlebug, and it's just a bunch of like cute little houses. It comes with like Christmas trees and whatnot. It came out at Christmas time in 2024, and I just picked the little pink house at the bottom left there, and I'm going to be ink blending them in teal colors. My friend just moved into her own place, so I decided to make her this card, and this is the, again, only element that we are putting on the card. I also cut out the little hearts in the set in red cardstock because we'll be using that. And then I'm just going to use the congratulations sentiment from Altenew. And right now I'm just ink blending all of my pieces. I did the front like porch area, I guess, or the front doorway in the lightest shade. The house is going to be in the middle shade, and then the roof and chimney caps will be in the darkest shade. I left the baseboard of the house and the windowsills in white, but I do off camera color them in an even darker shade of teal because the white was just a little bit too much. I probably could have left the windowsills maybe in white, but the base of the house was just kind of blending into the cardstock, so I decided to add a little bit more color to that. So what we're going to do for this card is we're going to ink blend a circle behind the image just to, again, accentuate and highlight the image itself, which is the die cut this time. And I do this quite often, like I'll pick a larger image and then just kind of ink blend behind it and then kind of slap it on the card. It's a good way to add a bit of color. It adds a place to, again, highlight your image, and it also helps, you know, fill out some of that space. So I just used this flannel gray. There was still a bit of brown mixed in with the brush. This is kind of like my neutral colors ink blending brush, but so it's a little bit more on the warmer side, which is fine. It adds a contrast to the cooler teals that I used. And then I'm just going to add the sentiment here underneath the house, and it just says congratulations. I'm going to stamp it in the darkest shade of teal just so I'm not bringing in another color, and I didn't want to make it in like a stark black, so I just decided to use colors that were already on the card, which is a good idea. I didn't want to use a lighter one because obviously you still want it to show up, and then I realized it was a little crooked as well, so I'm just kind of trying to straighten that out by trimming the card base a bit, and then I'll just square up the sides to match. It was very little, and because this is a very simple card, it is a little bit more noticeable when things are crooked, so just keep that in mind. You want to try to keep things as straight as possible when you're doing a simple card like this. And then I'm just going to use my T-square ruler to line up the house right above it. Originally I was going to add some color behind for the door and the windows, but I decided that the gray of the background was sufficient enough. I also ink blended two of these like front door areas, but decided that it wasn't needed because it was enough dimension and contrast between the two. So I just ended up putting one of them, and now I have an extra. And I'm just assembling this die cut on the card because it was easier for me. You can assemble before and then just slap it on after, that's fine. Whatever works for you. And then, yeah, so this is where I'm putting on the base of the house, so you can kind of see that because it's at the bottom of the ink blending section, it blends in with the background of the card. And I later realized that it just needed a little bit more contrast. So if you are going to recreate this card, I would maybe, again, just ink blend the base of the house to be the same as the roof pieces, or pick a different color altogether maybe as a contrast. And then I've just added the little heart above the chimney. I had some smudges, so I'm erasing them. And I'm going to add some glossy accents to that heart, and then this card is done. That is it. This plain and simple, smack an image in the middle, highlight it with some ink blending. Again, you could do the same as we did previously and cut out like a circle in a different color to help highlight it, if that's what you want to do instead. But I think the ink blending is a little bit softer of a look and less harsh, and definitely something quick and easy to do. And then for our last card here, I am keeping this very quick and simple. The only color I'm adding is to this heart in the die cut. This thank you die is part of the Simon Says surprise box that I bought recently. And I'm just going to prop this up on some foam tape. And you could leave this as is on the card, just tonal with the contrast heart, or you can add a little bit more. I felt like you needed a little bit more, so we are going to do one extra step, but I'm keeping everything in white. And this, again, would be the most difficult for someone who likes to make bright, busy cards to transition into making a card like this, because you are going to have to let go of the brightness and, you know, all the color and whatnot, because we are keeping this very tonal. You could do this in multiple colors, but you're going to use the same techniques where you're not adding different images and colors and stuff around. You're going to do it all in one color. So you could do like a rainbow of these cards if you wanted to give them away for someone else to like give to people, like as a gift set. And you could do them again in like different shades. You could do them in black, in white, in gray. You could do them in rainbow colors, you know. But for this one, I decided that I wanted to do it a little bit different. So I wanted to add a bit of texture to it. So I'm using an embossing folder, and I'm just adding that little bit of texture behind the die in the white. And it does help add different facets, especially with the one that I used here. So it adds a little bit of like shade, shadow, and texture just naturally without having to, you know, add different colors to it. So I am going to prop this up on foam tape, and then the panel above it's propped up on foam tape. So it is a slightly thicker card. So it adds dimension, it adds texture, and you're keeping it all in one color with lots of white space. So I actually like how this one turned out. It's probably one of my favorite of the three. So I might try doing some more of these. I'm not like a super busy card maker, so again, these are easier cards for me. But I'm definitely going to challenge you guys to make a quick and simple card with lots of white space, and then maybe tag me over on my socials to show me how you did, and then maybe compare it to what you've done previously. But those are our cards for today, guys. Thanks again for joining me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and let me know what your thoughts are. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. And if you are over on Instagram or Facebook, you can follow me there, because I do post a little bit more often throughout the week between videos. So until next time, thanks guys. Bye.